On May 21, 2021, Korean soldier Lee Yerin married her fiancé. That same night, she took her own life. She left a video on her phone exposing a shocking military cover-up. In the video, she said, "I wanted justice, but they covered everything up. They forced me to stay silent. I feel ruined. They're all guilty." The video caused outrage across Korea. Why would she end her life on her wedding day? What pushed her to such despair? Let's uncover the truth behind Lee Yerin's tragic story. Lee Yerin came from a well-off family in Korea with influential parents and a privileged upbringing. Not just smart and talented, she also had striking looks. Talent scouts wanted her in the entertainment industry, hoping she'd become a national star. But her dream was to be a soldier, so she turned them down without hesitation. She trained relentlessly, doing everything to prepare for military academy. Her delicate appearance hid incredible strength and top academic performance. It all paid off. She got into the academy. 2 years later, she earned a spot in Korea's Air Force 2nd Combat Unit. She wasn't a pilot, but the role was one of the most respected in the country, and she was proud of it. Her determination and talent stood out immediately, earning praise from everyone around her. Even her commander called her tough and hardworking. Her beauty got plenty of attention too, but what seemed like admiration soon turned into her worst nightmare. When Lee Yerin joined the military, her looks brought both good and bad. She got along well with her team. Things went downhill fast. She started dating a good-looking guy in her unit. Other guys kept hitting on her. She rejected them every time. She told them she had a boyfriend. They didn't stop. They talked trash about her behind her back, said awful things. Some officers got involved too. One guy, Jang Jong-shi, wouldn't leave her alone. He paid too much attention to her from day one. At work, he kept finding excuses to be near her, gave her extra tasks, made her stay late. It made her uncomfortable. He told gross jokes to her face. She tried to deal with it. It didn't help. His behavior got worse. At a party, he got drunk and grabbed her. She pushed him off, left angry. She stopped going to parties. Things still got worse. One day, Lee Yerin's boss, Lee Junwei, pulled her aside. He asked her to join him at his friend's restaurant opening. COVID rules were still in place. He brushed them off, saying it was important to show support. Lee Yerin hated these kinds of events. Men always had something to say about her. Last time, Jang Jong-shi crossed the line in front of everyone. Just thinking about it made her stomach turn. She told Lee Junwei gatherings weren't allowed under the restrictions. She politely declined. His mood changed instantly. He snapped, "I'm inviting you as a favor. Don't make me regret it." Thrown off, Lee Yerin felt she had no choice but to agree. As soon as she said yes, he smiled. He said, "This is a great chance for you. Make it count." On March 2nd, 2021, Lee Yerin went to the party with her boss. The moment she got there, she spotted Jang Jong-shi. During dinner, Jang poured her a drink. He joked about toasting with her. She shut him down without hesitation. Lee Yerin told him she had to stay sober to drive, but Jang Jong-shi didn't stop. He kept pushing. Lee Yerin snapped at him. The others just brushed it off, saying he was drunk and didn't mean anything. Lee Yerin smiled through it, but felt disgusted. Jang Jong-shi kept crossing the line and no one said anything. Lee Yerin knew she had to leave. As people were heading out, Jang Jong-shi claimed he couldn't drive and asked for a ride. Lee Yerin was about to say no, but the other boss had already left. Before she knew it, he was in her car. Reluctantly, she agreed to drive him. She had no idea what was coming next. On the way, he kept making nasty jokes. Lee Yerin stayed quiet, just wanting to get back to base. Once they were out of the city, she noticed something was off. She sped up. He then said he needed to throw up and asked her to pull over. As soon as she stopped, he grabbed the keys, locked the doors, and lunged at her. Lee Yerin froze, not knowing what to do. She couldn't believe this was happening with a fellow soldier. She was filled with fear. She fought back, but he was too strong. She kept resisting, but it was useless. She was trapped. The next morning, Lee Yerin showed up at the base feeling down. She went straight to Lu's office to report what happened with Jang Jong-shi. She told him everything that went down the night before. Guilt. Lu was shocked at first. then quickly calmed down. He told her not to blow it out of proportion. He warned her it could ruin her future. He promised he'd take care of it. After she left, Lieutenant Lu immediately called Zhang Zhongxi. He told him to handle it quietly. That night, Zhang Zhongxi found Lee Yerin again. He threatened her, saying, "Why make a big deal out of it? You better drop it, or it's going to be worse for you." Furious, Lee Yerin went back to Lieutenant Lu and told him what happened. But Lieutenant Lu showed his true colors. He said, "This happens to every woman eventually. It's no big deal, just let it go." Feeling hopeless and angry, Lee Yerin grabbed the recorder from her car. She went to the police and filed a report. The police started an investigation right away. But as the days went on, Lee Yerin started noticing something wasn't right. The investigation went on for 15 days. She was called in 17 times. Zhang Zhongxi was only called in once. Each time, she had to repeat the same painful details. She thought the evidence was clear and that Zhang Zhongxi would be punished. But Lieutenant Lu had already made sure no one cared. The police started acting indifferent, even mocking her. They kept asking the same questions over and over. They weren't interested in the case at all, treated it like some kind of scandal. They kept mocking her, making everything feel worse. One of the officers harassed her, pushing things even further. Eventually, the case was closed with the excuse that Zhang was too drunk to remember. She complained, trying to fight back. It didn't change a thing. Zhang barely got questioned. He acted like it was nothing, even joked about it. Watching him walk free broke her completely. Took 2 months off, hoping to recover. During her leave, Zhang kept calling with nasty, insulting comments. The police sent people to pressure her into dropping the charges, refused to give in. Then the threats started. Told her if she kept going, her family might be in danger. Even went after her boyfriend, telling him to make her stop. Said his family would be next if she didn't back down. Things just kept spiraling. 2 months later, Lee Yerin went back to the military, reassigned to a new department for her protection. From the start, it felt like she didn't belong. Her story had already spread across the Air Force. First day, made to work through the night. Got back to her dorm, found her bed full of trash. Before resting, called back to finish more work. The transfer was clearly meant to punish her. Someone behind the scenes was pulling the strings. Co-workers avoided her, whispering as she walked by. Some women in her dorm openly insulted her, blamed her for seducing Zhang and causing trouble, called her shameless, acting like she was the problem. Hard to believe how the victim became the villain. Completely isolated, breaking down mentally, kept checking on her case despite everything, always told it's still under investigation, clear evidence, yet no progress. Then came the threats. Told, "You know how bad things are right now. Drop the charges and this all goes away. Might even get something out of it. Keep pushing and it's going to get worse." Anxiety and insomnia hit harder. That was the final straw. Thought of her boyfriend, feeling hopeless. Called him, asked if they could get married. Knew he'd been waiting for that moment. On May 21, 2021, Lee Yerin seemed to have given up on her appeal and decided to move on. She got married to her boyfriend during the day and celebrated with her family. There was laughter all around. Later that evening, she drove her husband to work. Back home, she made his favorite meal. They texted each other goodnight, and everything seemed normal. After hanging up, she quietly went into her bedroom. She recorded what would be her final video. Her face was blank, her voice calm but heavy. She called out the entire Air Force saying, "My body feels filthy now. They are all responsible." The video sent shockwaves across South Korea. On May 31st, her father posted a petition on the Blue House website. He demanded answers from the government. Through tears, he said, "If they can't even protect their own soldiers, how can they protect the country?" Her death went viral, sparking nationwide outrage. Her father's petition gained massive support. Within days, over 400,000 people signed it, demanding harsh punishment for those responsible. The South Korean government quickly took notice. Top officials from South Korea's Ministry of Defense went to Lee Yerin's family to apologize. The 400,000 signatures on the petition left the military no choice but to act. Zhang Zhongxi was arrested shortly after Lu was fired and put under investigation. During questioning, Zhang admitted he assaulted Lee Yerin. He also confessed to nearly 10 similar incidents. He had been using fear to manipulate and threaten female soldiers for years. The military court sentenced him to 9 years in prison. The Air Force Chief of Staff resigned for failing to handle the case properly. The defense minister issued a public apology and promised to reform the system. But none of this happened while Lee Yerin was alive. For 3 months, her complaints were ignored. After her death, it took just 2 days to bring the criminals to justice. The stark difference was both infuriating and absurd. The case sparked nationwide outrage. The South Korean government promised to overhaul the military. Reports show that between 2017 and 2020, there were over 4,000 sexual assault cases in the military. Most offenders faced no consequences, with only a few being held accountable. Power should protect people, not harm them. When someone lacks the integrity to hold their position, power only leads to more tragedies. That's it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.